the entertainment highlight of the week.
Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show.
Hello.
Hello.
Good day.
Good morning.
Good gravy.
Good afternoon.
Good gracious.
Good to be here.
Good tidings.
John Goodman.
Ooh, didn't start with good, did it?
Oh, well, okay then.
Good thoughts are better than bad ones.
I don't know. Goodness.
Loch Ness.
Come on.
Come on, now I'm on the winning streak. That was the Loch Ness game, and it wasn't a game, and it's not about Loch Ness. I'm not
obscure,
Benji.
and I'm not Nick, but we are the Benji and Nick Show, and we talk about cult TV from the past, TV that you may remember, TV you might want to forget, and TV that you might never have heard of and suddenly discover and think, yeah, that's for me.
Yeah.
This week we'll be talking about The Edge of Darkness, 1985 BBC/Lionheart co-production, written by Troy Kennedy Martin and directed by Martin Campbell, starring the
Troy
late...
Kennedy Martin, who created Z Cars and wrote The Italian Job, by the way.
Well, fair play, you know.
Martin Campbell, who directed the Bond films GoldenEye, Casino Royale. Thought I'd just throw that in.
Both very decent James Bond films as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, starring Bob Peck, clever girl from Jurassic Park.
Indeed.
And Joanne Whalley, who's been in a million zillion things. And a whole host of stalwart British character actors, plus Joe Don Baker, who was in GoldenEye, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes.
He was, I believe it. And didn't he come back in Tomorrow Never Dies?
Yeah, he came back somewhere.
He came back in something, didn't he? He's been in a few Bond films, hasn't he? Definitely.
2, I'd say.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the dreadful remake in 2010, of course, The Edge of Darkness, starring Mel Gibson. We just discount that one. And
It was also directed by Martin Campbell, though.
Well, it didn't do a very good job, did he?
Urinating over his own work.
Well, quite. You know, it's unfortunately, it just didn't translate, and fire it into space. Get rid of it. Fire it into space and forget about it. So what else will we be doing, Nick?
We'll be getting in touch with our good friend Jamie, son of Jerry Anderson, who's in Miami for some important TV thing or other. Although his Airbnb pulled out on him at the last minute, whoever they are, shame on them. We may not be able to get him because, he's in another country.
He'll be sleeping in a bin or something, pushing around a trolley. Poor man. I hope he's. I think I saw on Twitter that he's sorted himself out.
He did. People helped him. Yeah. And before all that, in a few moments, we'll be reading out some of your emails sent to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. But first, let me just say this thing that I like to say, that the Benji and Nick Show is proud to be sponsored by The Village Shop, the online e-store run by the Unmutual website and Coit Media Limited, your one-stop shop for all things Prisoner, Danger Man and Patrick McGowan, including DVDs, Blu-rays, books, CDs, audio dramas, clothing, photos, homeware and gifts. New items are added weekly. Benji and Nick Show listeners can enjoy a 10% discount on all purchases by using the code LOCHNESS10. That's LOCHNESS in capitals, all one word, 10, with no space before the 10, and use that at the checkout. A further donation will also be made to Hope House Children's Hospice at no cost to you. Address is www.theprisonershop.co.uk. The Prisoner Shop, all one word, The Prisoner Shop. Let's have a look and recommend something from here. I just bashed my radiator. That wasn't my tea.
Well, I've already found something that I'm going to recommend straight off the bat, because I've found The Prisoner, the Chapel Recordings 3-disc CD set. Now, this is the Chapel Music Library, which is a famous music library up there with KPM and various other, the EMI library and D Wolf and all sorts of libraries used throughout the 60s and 70s and long into the 80s, and probably still used today for for lots of different things. So this is
the theme of the time slip is from De Wolf, and we're using that. Yeah, we're using that for the Big Finish.
You got the license. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If it's like Catweasel, Catweasel's library music.
Well, all of it.
Not all of it, but certainly the theme tune is library music. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Certainly is. Yeah.
Library music?
Ooh.
My library is of old books, old spells throughout time.
Yeah, but it
Gosh.
is. Yeah, it's. I can't
What's
remember.
it called?
I can tell you. Hold on, Catweasel theme library music, because I found it as I was going across different things.
I think we're in a different key.
Hold on. Tis Magic on my Catweasel theme was a piece of library music which led to
A nasty infection.
I can't remember the name of it now, but I've got it saved somewhere. I've got it saved. Control F. Let's Control F this bad boy.
What does that do?
Searches the documents I have in front of me. It's saying that there's a lot of library music in the show, in this particular document here. Busy Boy, I think it's called.
Oh.
Let's have a look. Busy Boy library music. Catweasel Busy Boy, it's called. Yeah.
Interesting.
And you can find that on Catweasel Busy Boy, the London Theatre Orchestra CD on Amazon. But this here is basically a selection of recordings and library music used in The Prisoner. There's 3 discs worth. It's an absolutely gigantic collection of library music.
Wow.
It's already up there for a really good price, but definitely get your hands on it, because the music in The Prisoner is brilliant. It's one of the things that really attracted The Prisoner to me anyway, is that it's got that wonderful flavour of sort of 60s sort of... Oh, it's gorgeous. And so with this, basically, you get your 3 discs worth of just absolute gold. So grab that from the village shop. Don't think twice, because you can listen to it in the car and drive around as though you're in a mini moke having the time of your life.
Anyway, on to the emails. Shall I do the first one?
Oh, I'd love you to.
This is a note from Neil Allen to our Facebook page, the Benji and Nick Show Cult TV. It was sent on the 3rd of February in the space year 1718. Neil Allen, he says, "Hi Benji and Nick. I just want to say thanks to Nick for putting me onto the great TV series Tightrope. What a wonderful 13 episodes. I saw Spencer Banks the other day, who's the star of Tightrope. And
No way.
We had a good old chat about it. I said, I've got it. He said, oh, are you enjoying it? I said, am I enjoying it? I said, I've enjoyed it. I've watched the whole lot. He said, you've seen it all already? I said, absolutely. It was almost like in one sitting. He was so gratified, and we had a lovely chat about, how brilliant John Savardant was and all this kind of thing. I know you haven't covered it yet in the podcast, but if you do, can I make these few points? Did all 1970s comprehensives near air bases have a school for spies where every single teacher was either working for the Russians or NATO? Yes, I believe that's actually true, Neil. Yeah. Was it standard to give not only a school pigeon loft, but also a sauna where you could accidentally fry yourself? Yes, apparently that
happens all the time.
That happened every week. Was all the teaching done by TV? Yeah, that's really weird. But there was a lot of TV teaching in the 1970s. We had a lot of that, with interruptions by the voice of freedom, which is a highly ring-modulated voice that says, "This is the voice of truth," and the TV's signal box installed in the wettest part of the school, the toilets. It's absolutely true. It's behind a panel in the boys' loo. Was it compulsory to have both sexist and racist posters on the sixth form common room wall? I didn't notice that, but I'm sure it probably was. And finally, were all walls and doors wonderfully wobbly in the 1970s? One good push and the school could come down. Yes, that's true as well. Yeah, just some thoughts on this great little gem. Should have had a second series, absolutely. Happy Loch Ness to you both, and keep on using the brute. Neil from Newark. Splash it all over. Splash it all over. The great smell of brew. Yeah.
Well, we've got another message here. Subject: Catweasel tears. Sent on the 29th.
I know what this is going to be about.
Definitely. You disbelieve in drag. 29th of the 1st, 2020, sent 1457. Good year from Lance Harrington. Hi, Benji and Nick. My 5-year-old son and I have been watching Catweasel on Talking Pictures TV and enjoying it immensely.
Fantastic.
However, it had quite an effect on my son. At the end of season 1, he spontaneously burst into tears as Catweasel disappeared and went back to his own time.
Listen, I could spontaneously burst into tears talking about it right now. I just had that pang. Fantastic.
It is one of the most emotional bits of television I think I've ever watched, certainly for kids today, because it's like losing a friend, isn't it? It's a beautiful
it's so
friend.
blunt as well, though. It's so blunt. It's the fact that Carrot does not believe Catweasel until he starts to disappear, and even then and then when he goes, it's just so takes my breath away to think about it.
It is. It's heartbreaking. It is. At the end of season 2, he was again crying profusely at the end of the last episode, pretty much all through the last 5 minutes.
Oh.
This reaction got me thinking about any times I've cried at a TV show. The one that sticks to my mind was when Adric died in Doctor Who. Spoilers, sorry. And I was wondering if you had any memories of TV shows that have made you cry. Keep up great work, Lance Harrington. Sent from my Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster dispenser. Very useful thing to have.
Benji, what have you cried at?
I mean, this really is the first one that comes to mind. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I don't cry.
Hand of Fear, Doctor Who, Hand of Fear. I cannot watch Sarah leaving without crying. I just cannot. I watched the War Games episode 10 the other day on BritBox. I just burst into tears when the Doctor, because when the Doctor says goodbye to Jamie and Zoe, there's no emotional content to the scene, because that's not what Doctor Who did in those days. And I can't even say that they're particularly well-written scenes. But it's the lack of emotion and the fact they don't hug. Nowadays, they'd hug. They don't. Jamie shakes his hand. And Zoe doesn't. And considering that the Doctor gives Zoe a little kiss on the head in episode 1, I think it is, of the War Games, he doesn't. It's just very sort of, bye-bye, well, I won't forget you. And it just makes me cry thinking about it. Yeah. I absolutely lost it. I completely did. Oh, dear.
It is
I didn't cry when Adric died, but that's a generational thing. I was no disrespect to the wonderful Matthew Waterhouse, but I was really pleased when Adric died. I couldn't believe my luck. I'd not liked Adric, and I thought, God, they killed him. This is fantastic. The only thing that nearly made me cry is when I saw Matthew Waterhouse's credit in the following week's Radio Times. I thought, oh no, they're bringing him back. I thought he was dead, but it was just a ghost of him. So I was very relieved.
The ghost of Adric.
Listen, I think Matthew is a brilliant actor, and I've enjoyed working with him. So I feel absolutely rotten saying that. But what can I say? I was in my early 20s. I was a miserable and uncaring post-teenage oik.
I seem to remember being very upset when Wurzel got upset. When I used to watch Wurzel Gummidge, because it used to be on UK Gold when I was a little lad, and so I'd watch that, and when he had these emotional talks with the Crow Man, always used to make me feel, because you can really kind of relate to him, because he's crying and he's upset.
But what about when Rose left in Doctor Who? Did that not make you cry?
It didn't make me cry.
I blabbed dreadfully at that
because I knew it was. I knew it was going to happen. If that makes sense, I didn't know obviously the nature of how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen, and so I was mentally prepared for it. But again, at that age when I was watching it, because I was a lot younger then, I don't think I would have. I don't know. I'm not a big crier in television anyway, really. So I doubt. Yeah, I know you are. I doubt I would have really cried particularly. I think I was more excited because it meant that that what's going to happen now, who's going to arrive next, what's going on. I did love the music, the Murray Gold score for all of when Rose was going, but that was superb exit. That really was
amazing. What about there was that Richard Curtis film about time travel? Is it called About Time or something?
I don't know. I've not seen it.
And that's about a chap losing his father, but being able to go back and see, and that, even though I don't think it is a great film. It has greatness in it. And I shouted at it when we watched it on DVD. I said, "You can't do this. It's too upsetting." I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It was, for anyone who's lost their father, watching that film is tough going.
It's that's the thing, is it? It's like, what we'll touch on later with Edge of Darkness. That's all about grief. I mean, if we're talking about films that make us cry, I mean, it's The Elephant Man every time. That film absolutely tears me apart. Did at the time. I watched it, I was in my early teens, and it just absolutely crippled me. And it still does. I'm not, I
can't watch it. I just can't watch it.
I've got it on DVD, and I don't think I could bring myself to watch it again, because unless I was feeling like I wanted a good cry.
It's an amazing film, though.
But it's sad. It's there's unfortunately a true story. But yeah, thanks for that. It was a very good little segment there. Thanks for
I've got to go, because I've been blubbing a bit talking about it. Right, here's one from Nathan Harrison called Later Classic Who. It was sent on the 28th of January in the space year 2018. It was just recently. Good evening, chaps. Long-ish time listener, first-time caller. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you both for what you do with the podcast and with Big Finish. I travel a lot for work, and your cult TV ramblings and superb audio wizardry form a huge chunk of my listening on the road, are a major contributor to my sanity as I meander up and down the highways and byways of this rather congested country we call home. That's the UK for anyone listening outside. So, in all seriousness, thank you for everything you do. It is very much appreciated, and you gents never fail to raise a smile, despite the fact that I've been blubbing like an idiot in this podcast. I was like, yes, enjoy our upbeat podcast. What really upsets you? Oh my God, I'm crying again. Anyway, I just wanted to mention one thing, and my apologies if it has been raised before, as I still have a small number of editions of the podcast that I'm yet to listen to. I love your musings on Doctor Who, as it is quite evident that the two of you have a love for it that doesn't come close to any other programme, especially in Nick's case. But I was wondering if you might consider a podcast covering a later episode of Classic Who, as the focus has been very much on the Baker era and a little Pertwee. Just a little... There's a little Pertwee here.
Little Pertwee.
I can totally understand this, as it's what you, Nick, grew up with at the time and poured over on tape, and it's what you, Benji, watched on UK Gold and good old VHS as a nipper. Aye. But as you have both worked with some of the later Doctors, and as far as I can tell still know a lot about later series of the show, I'd love to hear a podcast about maybe Remembrance of the Daleks, or The Curse of Fenric, or Trial of a Time Lord, or Vengeance on Varos. I could go on. Finally, I just wanted to say huge congratulations to Nick on his stellar work in Fugitive of the Jadoon. Oh, God, right, the TV episode, yeah. So much went on in that episode that was just mind-boggling and astounding, but still your vocal skills stood out, and it was great to hear the Jadoon sounding as fleshed out as they have done in their Big Finish releases. Big Finish appearances. All the best to both of you, and here's to another 100 podcast. Nathan Harrison, sent from my Glasgow hotel room, where I'm absolutely definitely not about to watch Fugitive of the Jadoon for the third time, I promise. Why are you looking at me like that? Stop it. Good day to you, sirs. I said good day. Yes, we caught you out there, Nathan.
Can't hide from us.
Thank you for what you say. It was interesting doing the voice for Fugitive of the Jadoon, because they keep everything secret, and I wasn't on the set for that one, so I just got the ADR script, and so I went in to do it. And of course I was privy to some things happening, like Captain Jack suddenly appearing, and also the bit when the Jadoon scan the two people and say that they're the same Time Lord. And I looked at the dubbing mixer, Matt Cox, and he sort of looked at me in a kind of, yeah, you're not supposed to know that. And I went, oh. So I knew all these things and had to keep absolutely quiet about them for ages, which I dutifully did. I'm telling you this story so that you'll thank me for keeping quiet. Now what do you think about doing later Doctor Who episodes?
Well, I mean, I love all of Doctor Who. There's no era of Doctor Who that I don't love. I'd like to do a McCoy one. I mean, Remembrance of the Daleks and Curse of Fenric are both two awesome stories. So, and a lot of people are checking them out at the moment, aren't they? Because obviously the new Blu-ray sets come out. So maybe it is a good opportunity to do that.
What I'm discovering with BritBox, and it's just a personal prejudice because of my age, even though I love all Doctor Who, I am not watching anything beyond Philip Hinchcliffe. Whenever I sort of just go, I could watch, and I just go, no, I'll just go back and watch Planet of the Daleks again, or Dalek Invasion of Earth, I was searching for a YouTube clip from Dalek Invasion of Earth to play to the sound engineer at the Motor Studios, Toby. And I suddenly thought, oh, hold on, it's on BritBox. I can just show him the blooming episode. He couldn't quite believe how badly non-modulated the Dalek voices were. I think he thought this, we have a master. He said, did that bloke ever do it again? He doesn't sound very good. I said, that's Peter Hawkins. He's like the best ever Dalek voice.
And he just sort of sounds like he's got a bit of a cold.
Yeah, there's a slight wobble in his voice. And my favourite bit, when he goes up to the microphone to attention survivors of London, he goes,
Oh, yeah.
He's just really excited about delivering the bad news. You know what I mean?
I can't wait to tell them they're all screwed.
By the way, you're all going to die.
I have to watch that one again because I always used to get terrified of Dalek Invasion of Earth. The music used to and it was just so bleak. And that bit when the bloke gets shot when he's climbing down the drain, and it's just horrific. It's just a really dim, horrible story.
You can see so much of Survivors in it as well.
Oh,
the
definitely.
whole notion of what the Daleks did to the Earth is essentially what happened in Survivors, except without the Daleks doing it. Survivors, the 1975-76 TV series that Terry Nation created about a pandemic. Not at all topical now, of course.
I rewatched them because I got to the end of Survivor Series 3. Really enjoyed it. And then as soon as it finished, I was like, right, back to episode 1. Just watch that again. It was really interesting.
Episode 1 of Survivors is great.
Cracker. Yeah, it's. I have to say, I love it all now. I just love it all of it. Brilliant. But yeah, maybe we'll have a think. And maybe we'll get on to some 80s Doctor Who, because that could be good. That could be good fun. I mean, I watched Delta and the Bannermen the other day, actually. I think it's a great story. I mean, it's ridiculous, but sort of fun. I like the music in it, and I love all the sort of terrible American accents, and it's there's something about it. I love Ray, the companion, though. Not really companion that could have been. Really.
And we got her in to do a Doctor Who for us, actually.
She's
not as Ray, but it's playing another character. Yeah.
Bring back Ray. That's what I say.
Yeah.
I'm not at all a poet. But there we have it. Thank you so much for emailing in. And now, of course, the subject at hand, Edge of Darkness.
That was the theme tune. Benji, had you seen it before?
Yes. I've seen it many a time before. I can tell you exactly where I bought my copy of Edge of Darkness from. I bought it from a market stall, which pretty much at the time was predominantly selling VHS. Went in and saw it. I thought, that looks interesting. Bought it, put it in, watched 15 minutes and thought it was rubbish and turned it off.
Wow.
And then just one day was like, oh, I'll watch that again. And then I was like, why did I think this is rubbish? It's incredible. And then watching it again, this time round, after seeing it many times, I thought, how could I have watched like the first 15 minutes and thought it was rubbish? It's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's like one of the most iconic pieces of BBC television, I think, that has ever been produced.
How would you describe it to someone who hasn't seen it before?
So it's I would say that it's released in 1985, so it's really a dark kind of Cold War nuclear sort of world, really, all about a policeman who discovers that his daughter, who was murdered accidentally, they were trying to kill him, discover that she's really embroiled in a sort of nuclear sort of espionage and corporate cover-ups and government schemes, and it's all about him coping with her grief and slowly uncovering slowly uncovering that she is deeply involved in something really, really bad.
And there's a sort of vaguely, not really supernatural, but psychological supernatural element in that he speaks to her all the time, doesn't he? And she turns up. He sees her.
Yeah, and it's beautifully acted as well, and wonderfully. The whole thing is just it's done so well. I think because there could have been, certainly with this, I think it could have been dreadful. It could have been like sets and kind of videotape, but it's all shot on film, and they've really poured some money into it. And they've got Eric Clapton to do the music. I mean, Eric Clapton, of course, and
Michael Kamen, who later went
Kamen.
on to do Bond, but not with Martin Campbell, funnily enough.
But the whole thing is just superb, really, and I think it really does deserve its status as one of the greatest bits of telly, really.
I think because it's so acclaimed, there's a temptation to regard it as overrated. And although I seem to remember the ending is a bit bonkers, and I haven't seen it for quite a while, interestingly, it gets classified as science fiction.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing to see just how stylish and cinematic this is. There'd been nothing like it on British television before. Martin Campbell did an incredible thing. I think the script is solid and brilliant, but it's the directorial flair that brought to it that makes the thing stand out, really. And the casting, and therefore the pin-sharp performances, it's standout in that respect, I think. Because,
it's a cocktail of brilliant things, isn't it, really?
There isn't a duff performance in it, is there? Well, when you look at a lot of other BBC productions from this era, there's always a bit part player somewhere who kind of just lets the side, like in I, Claudius, They're fantastic performances in I, Claudius, but there's some really naff bit part players. You think, oh, couldn't you have just got someone better to deliver that message, But it's not here. Everyone is great. And the cinematic score, although it feels a little bit dated now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you the thing about the score is that if it wasn't Eric Clapton, I think it could be seen as being a bit kind of, dare I say it, sort of irritating and slightly, a bit not irritating is the wrong word, but a bit like when I watch like Sharp, for example, I get really annoyed with all the electric guitar.
Yes.
And so it kind of treads on that, but then there's something about it at the same time where it's really dark and kind of cool and a bit kind of, because the character of Craven, he is a real kind of loner.
Yeah, Bob Peck. It's an amazing performance. It's an amazing performance of restrained emotion. And every now and again, it's like when they show him the body of his daughter for identification, and he's perfectly calm about it and looks at her, and then they just go to cover her face, and he goes, "Leave it!"
It just pierces, doesn't it? It pierces right through.
Yeah, it's full. Yeah, I saw Bob Peck on stage as well with the RSC. He was an amazing actor, and he died quite young of cancer.
A huge loss, really.
Real loss, really. Yeah, just an amazing actor. Now, I was going to say about the music. It was a first for domestic TV series in the UK. We'd never heard anything like this before on a British TV series. And it's no wonder the whole thing that. Just think what television was like round about then. There was nothing like this in the UK. And it's no wonder that after it being aired on the more specialist niche channel of BBC Two, which that's what it was at the time, apparently within days it was given a re-showing. I mean, within days they rescheduled things to give it a re-showing on BBC One because everybody was just going, wow, about it. And the BBC thought, we've got to put this on BBC One where everyone will see it. That's quite remarkable that it's a phenomenon, this series. It changed everything in British television, I think. So many people immediately tried to make TV like this. They thought, it's got to be like Edge of Darkness. It's a game changer. That's the significant thing.
Well, it kind of, in a way, like you say, it's that turning point, isn't it, between the old style dramas of the past and the 90s, kind of late 80s, 90s generation of you've got your things like your Cracker and your Prime Suspects and that level of where it's not studio based, it's not kind of slow and dull and kind of talky. It suddenly goes bam. You're now getting involved and things are happening and it's interesting, it's faster and it's darker. And because interestingly enough, you've got John Woodvine in this, who was in something we reviewed a few podcasts back, what was it called?
New Scotland Yard.
New Scotland Yard, yeah. Brilliant.
Possibly the dullest programme ever made.
That's it. He's brilliant in it, but it's very dull. And then so you pick him up, you plonk him in this world, you give him this part where, and he features strongly throughout. And you just think, wow, this guy, this is where he belongs. This is where he belongs in this kind of environment, and it's the director. And the fact that they decided to make it like this one. I mean, one wonders when Troy Kennedy Martin wrote it, who'd had loads of experience doing Z cars and very sort of stagey television, whether he ever envisaged that it was going to be made like this. And who was it? Was it the producers? Was it Martin Campbell who said, no, we're going to film this, we're going to get out there and we're going to do this on location and I'm going to make it look like a movie? I don't think... And in how many executive TV meetings after this production did people say, it's got to be more Edge of Darkness? What we're aiming for is that kind of Edge of Darkness vibe. Yeah.
How
defining.
many... It's got to... Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what the budget was for this.
Yeah.
And whether it was big budget telly or whether it was TV that obviously it had a budget because it's gorgeous and there's lots going on, but
it has a cinematic sensibility as well, just the way it's shot, just lingering on things, and make it in the way that TV didn't do in those days. TV very much just cut to people's faces while they were talking and the occasional reaction, you know what I mean? But this, you just get long establishing shots of traffic going around, and
well, I was going to say it's in the title, isn't it, the key here, but that the darkness of it, it's dark. A lot of it's shot at night and it's bleak anyway, but you've got like shots in cars and headlights and rain and dark car parks and it's there's something about that which like the shot of the train at dark, and it's all these things which again are quite challenging to do, certainly at that time. It's harder to shoot things at night than it is in the day, but it's just pulled off with such finesse. It's just gorgeous.
And I mentioned before, we mentioned in the last podcast that thing that I wrote for a Doctor Who spin-off, the Airzone Solution. The director of that, who will remain nameless in this podcast, he was totally obsessed with Edge of Darkness. And I realised, and when you watch it again, I can just see so much that he changed my script in order to get shots like Edge of Darkness shots. I thought, why have you changed that? You've just changed the story for no good reason, because all he wanted to do was copy Edge of Darkness, even though the story isn't like Edge of Darkness. He just thought, I'm going to do a scene that's a bit like Edge of Darkness, and you think, yeah, you've just literally copied it there. But anyway, interesting. See, he used to watch it all the time on VHS. He taped it off the telly,
just absolutely inspired by it and consumed by it. But it is, because it's like we say, it's like nothing that's really ever gone before it. So I can understand that, it's dark. I mean, there are some scenes in it as well, like that scene where he goes into his daughter's bedroom and he's going through her stuff, and they play that Willie Nelson song, and there's just, it's a wonderful sequence because, absolutely hats off to Bob Peck there for just all the different emotions that take place in that sequence, the sadness, the grief, occasional flickers of kind of joking and thinking, I remember that, and then the absolute kind of shock and intrigue of discovering a gun and a Geiger counter and thinking, what is going on? And
that amazing shot when, after he's got the gun, he holds it close to himself and her teddy on her bed and just lies back with the gun and the teddy. And Colin Smith, our fantastic cover artist, has used that picture as part of the cover for this podcast because it's an iconic moment.
It is.
The gun
really
and the teddy. It's incredible. Also, did I mention that the young girl playing the young daughter in the flashbacks and the sort of ghostly,
who's really good as well,
she's amazing. I was just going to say, I don't know who she is, but she was absolutely amazing. I wonder whether she went on to have a career.
Let's have a look. She was very, because again you think to yourself that could have been the weak link.
It could have been. It could have been an embarrassing kiddie performance. Yeah.
Because I was reading a couple of days ago that Coronation Street are having terrible trouble because they did some stupid storyline where a woman has 8 children, 8 babies, and now they can't get any filming done because the babies are just crying and screaming. I thought, well, you're going to have eight terrible child actors to contend with if you're not careful.
Yeah,
but with this, you've got nothing but quality.
Yeah, what's his...
See,
young... I've maybe put
Imogen Staley is her name, and she only ever did Edge of Darkness.
Wow. Well, she was fantastic in it. She was like, did you have tea with the Queen, Daddy?
Yeah, but
you spent all afternoon and you didn't have tea.
Because it is that wonderful level of sort of childlike innocence, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great performance.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any record of her doing anything else.
And well, good for her. She did something worthwhile with her life instead.
I did find her on Twitter though. I found her on Twitter. Definitely her. She tweeted, "Great to see so many fans of Edge of Darkness after nearly 30 years. Not that I'm biased." And
what did she do?
I'm a single mum of 3, teacher, director of learning for science, baker, and a runner. So there you have it. There you have it.
And Joanne Whalley. What?
I said an intellectual.
She's an intellectual. And Joanne Whalley, of course, this was her gateway to stardom, really. After this, she did the film Scandal and then married Val Kilmer and became Joanne Whalley Kilmer. I don't know. It's just, have they divorced now? Is she now just Joanne Whalley again?
Let's have a look.
This is interesting. I'm just.
It is interesting, isn't it? That's just
It's very interesting. Yes.
Credited as Joanne Whalley Kilmer from 1988 to 1995. Divorced in 1996. There you have it. There you have it. She was in The Singing Detective, wasn't she, as well?
Of course, yes. Was that before or after this? I think
it was before. I'll double check.
I've got a feeling it was before. But I don't know.
This was series broadcast in 1986, as was this. So it was around the same time, really.
Some of those things. Yeah, she became flavour of the
pretty
month,
pretty much on at the same time, actually, because Singing Detective was on at the 16th of November to the 21st of December 1986, and Edge of Darkness was on the 4th of November. Oh no, the year before, 4th of November, the 9th of December 1985. So she did that after. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, but I mean, did she film it before? No, I don't know. I've suddenly got bored of all these statistics. Anyway, listen, I think for the sake of TV history, it has to have 5 exclamation marks from me.
Absolutely, the same for me. It's just, it is one of those television programs that, if you've got a collection of DVDs or whatever, or you can get it on Blu-ray now, restored to high definition from the original films. It deserves a place there. If you like your Brit telly, definitely.
Yeah, should be on BritBox. Shall we see if we can find Jamie?
Yeah, let's give this a go.
Let's have a look. How do you work a phone again? Oh yeah, here it is. That's weird. Why can't I find Jamie's name on this? I don't understand. Oh, there he is. Connecting. Ah.
Hey.
Hello, Nick Briggs.
And you're in Miami.
I am. Hang on. I know your listeners can't see, but I'm going to show you the view.
Okay, I saw a little. Wow, that's Miami. I'll just show it to Benji.
Oh yeah, baby. That is tower blocks and
Seen it?
rivers
Happy?
galore. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't an elaborate lie to get out of podcasting with us.
No, I've ended up, and that also there's a cackle in the background. That is Zelda from Terrorhawks. No, it's a top secret collaborator on projects.
Oh,
collaborator.
We'll have to call him Agent X for now.
Okay, all right. And so you managed to get somewhere to stay.
Yeah. So we had it cancelled when I was on the flight, and then obviously because there's a conference here, nowhere is available. but we found somewhere in the end, and it actually is a little bit like a sort of drug dealer's pad. A high-end drug dealer's pad, I should add.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is it a drug dealer's pad?
I hope not. There's no evidence of that so far.
Okay, well, I'll just phone the FBI and get them to come and check it out.
Perfect.
I'm sure I can get through to them easily from here.
You've probably got them on speed dial, I imagine.
Yeah. We've just been talking about Edge of Darkness. Have you ever seen it?
I have not seen Edge of Darkness. What is it?
Terrifying.
Terrifying. No. It's 1985 seminal historic change in British TV drama, directed by Martin Campbell. It was the first time that British TV had ever looked like a movie, really. Starring Bob Peck and Joanne Whalley, before she became Joanne Whalley Kilmer and then didn't 10 years later. Yeah, I recommend you watch it.
Okay, fine. I will. I mean, it was obviously out the same year I was born, so maybe that.
You're older than Benji, and he knows it.
Yeah, but Benji's a bit more of a
weirdo,
expert in all matters.
Old man.
I mean, he's got a 1970s phone under his desk, so.
Actually, it's downstairs in the kitchen, and I do, and it works.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realise it.
It's my main landline.
Well, I'll put it on my list to watch.
Yeah, it's a good one. Any exciting news you want to tell us?
Had a burger at 11 o'clock last night. I mean, that's about the most exciting in it. Oh, and we bought a box of tea bags last night from a supermarket down the road, and I think we've finished them in one morning. Two Brits in Miami have consumed all the tea in Miami.
That's it. Yeah, nice. So that was just you were feeling homesick, so you had to have lots of tea.
Yeah. So giving myself tea poisoning.
Is that a thing? Well, listen. You need to get back to your really important high-level meetings.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks. Very important. You've got the measure of me.
So we'll speak to you next week when you're back in the UK.
Blighty.
Yes, I will be. In fact, when you ring me, I might be in Dublin, where I'm changing. So I'm feeling like a real jet setter and drug dealer, as it turns out.
Well, obviously, I'm very impressed to know you.
Thanks very much. So you should be. Right, go do your podcast, and hello from Miami listeners, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I cut him off before he said goodbye. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah. Oh. David Richardson's phoning me on FaceTime. Hold on, just quick. I don't know how to accept that. The only thing it's offering me is to end it. So I will.
Bye, David.
I'll call him later. Right. All it needs for us to say is what we're going to do next week.
What are we going to do next week? That's the question. We could watch something, or we could talk about what we've been watching.
It's up to you. I'm a bit tired.
Well, should we just talk about what we've been watching? Because I've got plenty of things I can talk about.
What are you going to talk about?
I've been watching lots of Voyager lately. I've been really getting into Voyager.
What, Star Trek Voyager?
Yeah, Star Trek Voyager. I watched a bit of Our Friends from the North. What else have I watched? Obviously Broadchurch. What else have I been watching?
I watched the film Midway, the original one with Henry Fonda.
The proper one, the proper job. Oh, I watched Master and Commander.
Oh,
it's
lovely.
Quite good. Yeah, that's a good film to watch.
And The Stranger on Netflix I watched because Jake Dubman's in it and I know him, so I thought I'd watch
you've got to do that, haven't you? Really, it's only fair.
And he was great in it. But anyway, let's talk about those things. So, Mr. Colin Smith, hopefully you're listening, and now you've got some ammunition for your cover. Brilliant. Right, I suppose time now just to get very close.
Get nice and close, yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure.
I want to remind you to write to podcast@nicholasbriggs.com with
Biggly Boo.
And go Biggly Boo.
Well, from me, Benji C, it's Good B.
And from me, Nicky B, it's Good B. Pressing stop now, ka-chung.